the dream of our future. I walked along a beach, hand in hand with Colin. The waves gently lapped against the sand, and a warm breeze played with my hair. He stopped, turned to me, and pulled me close. "Elena," he said, his voice soft as velvet, "I've been thinking a lot about our future." My heart skipped a beat. I had been thinking too. Countless hours I had spent visualizing our life together. "Yes," I replied, almost whispering. He smiled, that wonderful smile that made my knees weak. "I see us in a small house by the sea, a big garden where you can grow your roses, maybe a little puppy running around, and children, Elena. What do you say about a couple of little lives running around, filling the house with laughter?" A wave of warmth washed over me. Children. He wanted children with me. My biggest dream, one I'd barely dared to utter even to myself, came true in his words. "That sounds perfect," I said, feeling tears burn behind my eyelids. He stroked my cheek with his thumb. "I want to give you all that, Elena, and more. I want you to feel loved, safe, and happy every day." We continued walking, and he described detail after detail, how he would make breakfast every morning, how we would travel to exotic places, how we would sit in front of the fireplace in winter and read books aloud to each other. It was a future filled with harmony, understanding, and unconditional love. Everything I had ever dreamed of. Everyday magic. We sat on the sofa, a normal Tuesday evening. A documentary played on the TV, but we barely spoke. His arm was around me, and I rested my head against his shoulder. His scent, a mix of freshly washed fabric, warm skin, and a hint of that woody perfume I loved, filled my senses. "Tired, darling?" he whispered. I nodded, just a little. "It's been a long day." He kissed my hair. "You're so capable." So incredibly strong. Small words, but they warmed me to my soul. He saw me, truly saw me. He appreciated my strength, my endurance. Not like other men, who seemed to see my independence as a threat. "I love just being here with you," I said. "It feels so calm, so right." He squeezed my hand. "Me too. It doesn't matter what we do, as long as we're together. You make everything better, Elena." We sat there for a long time in silent understanding, a moment of pure, unadulterated happiness. Just being close to him, feeling his warmth, knowing I was loved and appreciated. It was in these everyday moments that the magic truly emerged. Doing dishes together while singing off-key to the radio, grocery shopping and teasing each other about who would carry the bags, just lying in bed reading our own books, but still feeling that indescribable closeness. It was these moments that built up my fantasy world around Colin, making him the most wonderful person on earth. Intimate moments and tenderness. The room was filled with candlelight, shadows dancing softly on the walls. The music was low, a sensual jazz tone caressing the air. We lay tightly entwined, our bodies a perfect fit. He stroked his hand along my back, slowly, gently. "You're so beautiful, Elena," he whispered, his voice raspy with longing. I inhaled his scent, felt his breath against my neck. A shiver ran through me. To be so close, so vulnerable, and yet feel so incredibly safe. "You too, Colin," I replied. "You're amazing." He turned so we lay face to face. His ocean blue eyes, which in reality were quite ordinary blue eyes, glittered with passion and tenderness. He kissed me, a long, deep kiss that made my senses explode. It wasn't just physical desire, it was a union of souls. Every touch was charged with love. Every caress expressed a deep understanding of my body, my feelings. He was so attentive, so empathetic. He knew exactly what I wanted, what I needed. Never before had I felt so seen, so desired, so completely loved. Afterward, we lay intertwined for a long time. He stroked my hair, kissed my forehead. "I will never tire of you, Elena," he said, his voice filled with seriousness. "Every moment with you is a gift." And I believed him, with every fiber of my being. That was the hard part. To believe that every word was truth, that every feeling was mutual, that every glance was a confirmation of an unbreakable bond. I took a sip of coffee. It was now lukewarm. The sun had climbed higher in the sky, sending in warmer rays. I closed my eyes, letting the dream images play again. Everything was so real, so vivid, and yet it wasn't. I've been here before, countless times, with that guy in high school who played guitar, with the university lecturer who always smiled so kindly, with the colleague who had the same coffee mug as me. Every time the same pattern. A person I barely knew who, in my thoughts, my obsession, was built up into a god. Dreams that mixed with reality, feelings so intense they felt physical. And every time, the cold, hard realization when I woke up, it was just a dream. But this time was different. There was something about the Colin dream that refused to let go. Not because of disappointment, but because it felt so clear. A clarity I had never experienced before. I got up and went to the living room, sat in the armchair and stared out the window. What were these intense thoughts about Colin trying to tell me this time? Why was it so persistent, so detailed? Previously, it had been about superficial fantasies, about being rescued or gaining validation. But the Colin dream was deeper. It was filled with tenderness, mutual respect, a vision of a future that felt tangible. I began to analyze the dreams, as if I were a detective looking for clues. Dream 1, our future. Colin talked about a house by the sea, a garden, children. He wanted to give me all that. He wanted me to feel loved, safe, and happy. Clue, I long for stability, a home, a family. I want to feel loved, safe, and happy in a relationship. Not just passion, but a deep, grounded security. Dream 2, everyday magic. He said I was capable and strong. He loved just being with me no matter what we did. I made everything better. Clue, I want to be seen and appreciated for who I am, not just for my superficial qualities. I long for a partner who sees my strength, who loves me for my imperfections, and who finds joy in the small, everyday moments. A partner who doesn't need grand gestures to show their love, but who finds happiness just in my presence. Dream 3, intimacy and tenderness. He thought I was beautiful. His touches were filled with love. He was empathetic and attentive. He knew what I wanted and needed. He would never tire of me. Clue, I seek deep intimacy, not just physical, but a mental and emotional connection. I want a partner who is empathetic, who understands my needs without me having to voice them, and who shows their love through tenderness and attentiveness. I want to feel desired and loved, not just for a moment, but forever. The awakening. Suddenly it hit me. It wasn't Colin I was dreaming about. It wasn't the real Colin, the person I barely knew. It was the idealized Colin, a manifestation of all my deepest desires and needs in a relationship. My intense feelings had always been an expression of my longing, but this time it was as if they were screaming aloud what I was missing in my life, what I deeply yearned for in a partner. It wasn't about finding a Colin, but about finding a person who possessed these qualities. Not a successful man in his 40s with ocean blue eyes, but a man who was kind, secure, appreciative, empathetic, and tender. A man who wanted to build a life with me, who saw joy in everyday life, and who could offer both physical and emotional intimacy. A wave of insight washed over me, a feeling of clarity I had never experienced before. It wasn't a disappointment to wake up, but a revelation. My intense, dreamlike feelings hadn't deceived me. They had guided me. They had shown me a map, pointed out the destination. I realized that what I had experienced, this deep involuntary infatuation, was what is called limerence, a state where thoughts of a person become so deep and extensive that they almost take over one's reality. I had suffered from it since adolescence, often mistaking these dreams for reality. But this time, I understood what my limerence was trying to tell me, that it was telling me what I seek in a future partner, and what I must do to achieve this. But what would I do with this knowledge? Knowing what I seek is one thing, finding it is another. I had always been passive, waiting for the idealized man to appear, for the dreams to become reality. But they never had, and they never would if I continued to just dream. I realized that my limerence also showed me what I needed to do. It showed me that I must actively seek these qualities. I must stop idealizing and start acting. I took out a notebook and a pen. For the first time, I wrote down, not what I wanted a person to be for me, but what I wanted a relationship to contain. Security and stability. I need a partner who is reliable, whom I can trust, and who wants to build a shared future. Appreciation and respect. I want to be seen and appreciated for who I am, both my strengths and my weaknesses. A partner who respects me as an individual. Joy in everyday life. I seek someone who can find joy in the small things, who loves just being, and who makes everyday life special. Empathetic intimacy. I long for a deep emotional and physical connection, where we are both attuned to each other's needs. Mutual love and tenderness. I want to feel loved and loved back, through both words and actions. It was as if a fog lifted. I had allowed limerence to control my love life, to create unrealistic fantasies that doomed every real relationship to fail. But now it felt like I had taken back control. My limerence was not a disease, but a compass, I decided to start acting, not by actively looking for a Colin, but by focusing on finding someone who matched the qualities my dreams had identified as crucial for my happiness. This meant I needed to become more open, not just to men who fit a certain image, but to those who showed these valuable qualities. It meant I needed to be honest with myself about what I wanted and not compromise on my deepest needs. It meant I needed to let go of idealized images and embrace reality, with its flaws and its beauty. I knew it wouldn't be easy. Old habits run deep, but for the first time, I didn't feel afraid. I felt empowered. My limerence, which I had always seen as a curse, had now become my greatest teacher. It had shown me what true love for me truly meant. Not the perfect man, but the perfect qualities in a man. And most importantly, it had shown me that I deserved to find it. I rose from the armchair. The sun now shone with full force into the room, and I felt a warmth spread in my chest that didn't come from the coffee or the sunbeams. It came from a newfound insight, a clarity that promised a new beginning. I was Elena, 35, single, but no longer lost in my dreams. I was ready to seek reality, and to find the love my limerence had always whispered about.